29th of September. And of course, the trains. So let's turn to the trains now. The RMT have announced 2 more strike dates, and they are on the 15th and 17th of September. Assistant General Secretary John Leach from the RMT Union joins us this morning. John, listen, thank you for being here to bring us the latest. So,
good morning.
Yeah, some more dates for us to be aware of then.
Yeah, regrettably so. I mean, we've been working hell for leather here to try and resolve this dispute, meeting after meeting, but we've got a brick wall, stone-faced response of no change, no new offers, nothing. And I mean, we're hoping today that we get a reset moment with this new government, because there'll be a new administration, hopefully a new Secretary of State for Transport. And let's get them with their sleeves rolled up and get behind the negotiations and get this sorted, because the last thing anyone wants is further industrial action, including our members, obviously.
Yeah.
But the 40,000 members of my union who keep Britain moving day in, day out are not prepared to be made to pay the price for government incompetence, have to reapply for their jobs, lose their wages, and a whole load of other horror stories that are in store for them. So, let's hope this can be avoided. There will be talks, but at the moment, those strikes are on.
Some may say, is it fair to say government incompetence when there are some factors, of course, out of the government hands? The pandemic, for one, meaning that fewer people are using public transport, and the trains, meaning that there just isn't the same revenue coming in.
Yeah, I mean, things have changed out there. We know that, in the sense that there aren't so many people using the railway. But the bottom line is Britain needs a properly funded railway, and it needs to be staffed by motivated professional people. They're already there, by the way, the professional motivated people. And it's about keeping them and respecting them, like everyone in society, whatever job people do, wherever they are, need to be. And they cannot be allowed to be what we're faced with here, which is pay cuts for staff. They haven't had a pay rise for 3 years, thousands of redundancies, fire and rehire. My union went through P&O, where every single member of our workforce was sacked by email and offered new contracts. We're not going to allow that. It doesn't need to happen. That's the other thing. There's money out there. There is, because we see the profits being made in the private sector day in, day out, including in the railway industry, where £500 million a year is being siphoned off the top. New Prime Minister needs to reset the button here, resource the industry, empower the managers to negotiate. Mr. Shapps has prevented that. We will do our part. We do every day anyway, keeping England and Scotland and Wales moving, and then we can, crack on with the job. But, it can be done, but there's got to be a will there, so let's hope it's coming.
It's interesting, actually, how many of the problems that we're suffering at the moment are actually connected. So we talk about the shortage of gas, for example, and energy costs and the war in Ukraine, and we talk about climate change. Well, it means, I suppose, we need to be using less of those things. So we need to be perhaps getting in the car less and using public transport more. And of course, that would also benefit us in terms of climate change.
100%. We're on the green agenda. We want people out of cars, on trains. We want people using public transport, and that public transport has to be supported and backed up by the government. And that's the problem here. We've got a government that's got another agenda. That could change. Hopefully it will, next 24 hours. We have to deal with whoever's there, and we will. But for us, our members, the men and women who kept Britain moving through the pandemic, pre-vaccine, like everyone else, we lost loved ones and colleagues to that. We are not going to pay the price. We are not going to be poorer. We are not going to lose our jobs. We are not going to have our pensions attacked. And all these things are squarely in our sights. That's why we're on strike. No one would want to be on strike at the moment, let alone 2 days next week. But we are a union and we stick together. And that's what we're going to do here if there's no movement from the government.
Nobody wants to see people who work on our railways having to turn to food banks or being impoverished. But what would you say to the fact that we do need to modernise our railways? And then, of course, these strike dates will affect other ordinary workers, won't they, who are trying to make a living?
Yeah. Well, you're right, by the way, about food banks.
Yeah.
What a state to find ourselves in. People who are professional railway workers, having to go to food banks to feed their families. And by the way, this myth about modernisation, anyone who uses the railways in Britain will see modern trains, modern signalling systems, computer-based technology. RMT's fully behind that. Why wouldn't we be? We deliver it day in, day out, right across the industry. It's a myth that's propagated to kind of make us out to be some kind of blast from the past. We're not. We're all about a modern railway, but not if it means everyone's got to reapply for worse conditions. Not if everyone means their pensions are sold down the drain. We're just not going there. So, that has to be put right. But I mean, what a state of play. Food banks, reapply for your job. Your pension's gone down the drain in return for keeping Britain moving in a pandemic. We're not going to stand for that, the RMC. Okay. We're doing something about it.
The other thing I should mention, of course, is these strike dates are also on important days. Every day is important for sure, but, for football fans and music lovers. So what would you say to them?
Well, we're football fans and music lovers too. We're human beings. We have all these interests and things in life. What we would say, though, to the travelling public is we deeply regret this inconvenience, but it's a civil human right to withdraw your labour, to make your point. We would have thought now, after months of this, the government would have woke up and realised they've got a major problem if none of their railway staff are coming to work on a regular basis and losing hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So we do obviously regret inconvenience caused, but we want the government to take responsibility on a practical basis of fixing this situation. If they do that, we will. Why wouldn't we? And we can sort this out. But there has to be a new restart from the new Prime Minister down. Let's hope it's going to happen.
Yeah, it feels like actually you should come back and talk to us again once we know who I know this is widely expected that we know who it is, but, once we know the new cabinet, once we know where we're at. So maybe you'd be good enough to join us again, John. That would be good.
Whenever you want, I'll come on and, answer any question you've got about this. We feel we're on very, very solid moral ground here. And, thanks for having us on.
It's a pleasure. It's really important, actually, that we keep those lines of communications open, 100%. John, we'll talk to you again soon then. That's John Leach then, Assistant General Secretary from the